Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining us once again for our daily English Flash News edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting a translated version of Albania's top news stories in a language that you understand. The Ministry of Justice will soon have a list of all the Albanians who have committed crimes in the United States and the countries belonging to the Council of Europe. A request for this information was officially delivered today as part of the process of decriminalization. The Ministry of Justice has requested criminal background information from the Council of Europe and the United States for all Albanian citizens who have been tried in these countries. According to a notification published by the Ministry of Justice, the information will be used in order to improve our own system for keeping criminal records. This includes the creation and maintenance of a database in which all the Albanian citizens that have been processed or tried in other parts of the world will be recorded. The Ministry of Justice believes that this initiative will enhance public trust in the state institutions. The government does not recognize any problems in its relationship with the OSCE, and they say that their request for a change in the OSCE mandate is a normal thing. Last week, the Albanian government officially requested progress reports for all ongoing projects between the government institutions and the OSCE mission. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bushati, says that this practice has happened twice before, and that it does not necessarily mean that the government is asking to remove the OSCE presence in Albania. The minister rejected the recent accusations that his ministry has taken over the competences of the president by signing an order for the removal of Albania's ambassador to the OSCE. Ora News has questioned the Minister of Integration, Gjosha, on the OSCE role in the country. Her response was this: "We welcome the cooperation with the OSCE and the work that they have done. The international organization has given a valuable contribution to Albania. We also welcomed the OSCE report on the local elections," she said. The U.S. Ambassador Donald Liu held a series of meetings today with the top leaders of the state. Ambassador Liu first met with the Prime Minister Edi Rama and then the Interior Minister Saimir Tahiri at the Prime Ministry building. Later, he met with the Assembly Speaker Ilir Meta, followed by the President of Albania, Bujar Nishani. It is thought that the meetings were to discuss the justice reform and the decriminalization issue, and the ambassador's meeting with the Prime Minister comes just days before Rama is to participate in the World Leadership Forum in New York. The Democratic Party has officially presented its platform for the justice reform. The Democratic experts have compiled 300 recommendations, 60 of which are focused on constitutional changes. The party introduced the changes that would have constitutional effects and alter the roles of the president, the constitutional court, the judiciary, and the prosecution. The following are several highlights from the platform. The party demands that the heads of constitutional institutions must be elected in parliament. The Democrats do not want the formula for selecting the president to be changed. The Democrats are seeking radical changes in the High Council of Justice, proposing that the non-judicial members must be elected by a majority vote in parliament. They also require the president to be a member of the High Council of Justice, but that the Minister of Justice should not be a member. The Democrats demand that the Attorney General should be appointed by an interactive process that includes the Council of Prosecutors, the President, and the Parliament. After developing this platform, the opposition wants the international experts to take control of the situation, taking the proposals from both the opposition and the majority and creating a consensual reform. The chairman, Lulzim Basha, was not present at today's meeting, because he was holding a meeting with the ambassador of the European Union, Romana Vlahutin. The Minister of Integration, Gjosha, has declared that the government is determined to finish the justice reform within the month of October, since it is the only way to launch accession talks with the EU. The joint working groups in Tirana held a meeting today to discuss the process of negotiating with Brussels. The meeting dealt with the 5 key priorities of accession, and Gjosha said that the government is on track to achieve the required results. She said, "We have never stopped working on the implementation of the priorities. We have maintained our pace, and we continue to move forward based upon the guidelines. The reform in the justice system remains one of the most important reforms in delivering this priority." The minister added that an ad hoc commission has been set up by the Parliament and the Ministry of Justice. She went on, "This reform cannot be realized without consulting the stakeholders. Our objective is to approve this reform within October of this year." One of the other priorities is the fight against corruption, and the minister believes that Albania's efforts in this regard are now well known. She said, "The fight against corruption comes at a time when a large number of corruption cases go unpunished, and financial investigations have increased in number. Several measures have been taken, and there seems to be a positive trend," she said. The government's revision of the state budget was still not able to get the revenue back on track with expectations. The Ministry of Finance has published a full report on the financial indicators for the period of January to August of this year. The data shows that the government has not been able to collect the targeted amount of revenue in the first half of the year. The state revenue was 2.7 billion lek short of the revised plan, out of which taxes and customs make up a 1.6 billion shortage. The taxes that have affected the shortage the most are the VAT, at 1.2 billion less than the plan, income tax at 220 million less, and personal income tax at 316 million less than planned. These figures indicate poor performance by the fiscal administration, which is failing to collect the taxes that are due, even after the government reduced its budget in August. At this time, when the budgeted revenue is not being met, the biggest hope for Rama and his cabinet is the operation against informality. The results of the operation are expected by the end of the month, and the government has announced that they expect to collect $330 million in the fight against tax evasion. Today's meeting of the Economic Commission covered the new bill on tax procedures. The government's recent operation against informality was not supported by some of the majority MPs, who spoke out against it in the Commission meeting. The SMI MP Jovalin Kadeli and the Socialist MP Andrea Marto raised concerns about the efficiency of the operation. The former Minister of Finance and Democratic MP Ridvan Bode said that the whole operation was merely a show put on by the government. According to him, this package will only have negative effects on the economy, and the small businesses cannot afford these tough measures. Mr. Bode claimed that the harsher measures are intended to cover the deficit, but that other countries have tried this same method and failed. The Minister of Finance argued the opposite, claiming that strengthening the measures is a necessity. He said, "The checks of all the businesses began on September 1st. Around 36,000 businesses have been checked, and 20% of them have been closed down because of violations. The number of businesses that are using cash registers and issuing sales receipts has tripled. The operation against informality would not be complete without harsh penalties. They are necessary," said the Minister of Finance. In the end, the changes to the bill on tax procedures were adopted in principle with only the votes of the majority. That concludes our news for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please tune in again tomorrow at the same time for more translated news in English. Thanks. Have a fantastic evening.